guys, IT here, and this is the part 2 to my creating start collecting boxes in the Horus Heresy. If you haven't seen part 1, I highly recommend you do, because if you haven't watched that, then what I'm going to say is not going to make a lot of sense. So, yeah, let's just jump into it. So the first box we're going to look at for today is box number 3. This is the Prospero campaign, and we're going to kick it off with 1,000 Suns. So for the 1,000 Suns, I'm putting in Magnistus Amon. I apologize, 1,000 Suns players. I don't know how to say his name. There's Phosis Takar. He is the only new model for the 1,000 Suns, because the 1,000 Suns have a pretty solid range. They did get their whole, when Book 7 came out, they got the whole 9 yards, more or less. So then you've got a unit of Segment Terminators, 2 Kentai Bladed Cabal, and then 2 Breacher Squads. So again, this is meant to be a supplementary force, so, I think putting in Terminators is a solid way to go. You give some Legion flair. Same thing with the Kentai Bladed Cabal. They're strong, but they're not overpowered. So you're able to just kind of have, a very fluffy unit that can do what it needs to do. And then the breachers you can make disgustingly strong. So that's where I go with that. And then also Amon is a pretty cool character. I would love to see Takar being a little bit less dynamic-y and a little bit more static in his, like maybe he's holding a staff, or he's really using his psychic powers. I feel like that's something that you could really make 1,000 Suns characters really stand out, because you can have any character running, or from any legion, kind of like, oh, I'm into the action pose, but really take that and really, I'm using psychic powers. I think that'd be really, really cool for the 1,000 Suns. Super flavorful too. All right, next one is the Space Wolves. So the Space Wolves, I don't know how they have not made a Bjorn the Fell-Handed model yet. I think that's possibly the biggest, the most important model that they should put in this entire box set is definitely Bjorn the Fell-Handed. If they don't do that, then I don't know what they're doing. So then you have Haval the Red Blade. It's honestly, I think a lot of people give this model a hard time. I don't really see why. I think it's perfectly serviceable. I think it's just, if you don't like it, maybe some gentle conversions. But looking at it non-painted, I think it falls victim to the really bad paint job that that Forge World gave it. But just as it is, looking at it, like in gray plastic, gray resin, I think it's actually pretty good. I really think that maybe you switch out the head, or, maybe you give him a different heavy bolter as opposed to the one he's got. But other than that, I think it's a really cool model. Then for the units, you have the Varagia Terminators, and you also have 2 Deathsworn, as well with the Leviathan Dreadnought. So the Varagia Terminators are a really, really neat Terminator. I really think that they have a potential to really be really cool. I mean, obviously, you'd have to fix the banana fur. But I would even go so far as to maybe even just switching out the arms if you really wanted to really make it something a little bit more cool. Because I think the inlays are a little bit too, like the Celtic knots inlays are a little bit too much. So I would maybe switch those out. But I think the Dustsworn are perfect. I think they are exactly what you want them to be. They're wolfy, but it's like a little subdued. I know it's kind of funny to say that if you're looking at the helmets, they just have a wolf's head, but it's different. It's very taken back. And then Leviathans, the Space Wolves. I mean, come on, you can't go wrong with a Leviathan Dreadnought. And I would kit this up for close combat. I know the picture isn't close combat, but that's how I kitted that was with close combat weapons. So pricing and saving. So what do you actually save? What do you actually what is everything worth? So the 1,000 Suns is $463. Space Wolves are in $498. The total value of the box is $961. You get it for $300, so you get almost $700 of value. So I think, again, like I said in the last video, I'm going to put almost all the remaining boxes at $300. I think it's a fair price, and if you're saving $600, or almost $700 rather, then you really do have, I think you can't go wrong with these boxes. I mean, this one, probably from a value standpoint, you would definitely need to split with a friend, because there's not a lot of carryover. It's not like the Lunar Wolves box where you could be like, oh wow, I'm using everything, right? So yeah, I think that's definitely a way to go. So let's look at the next one. So the next one is the Chondax campaign box. Oh, and then we have got my boys, my favorite ones. Okay. This is with the White Scars and the Death Guard. So The first one is the first new character here is Yasugai. It's just like I don't understand why you bring Quinza in the book. I mean, in the campaign. Excuse me. Wow, if I can speak today, right? Into the mix of it, I really don't understand it because I mean, yeah, he's in the book. He's in Scars, and he's cool. But Yasugai is clearly like he's the Khan's number 2 man. So why not make Yasugai a model? He's so cool and so badass. I mean, just look at the man. Look at that guy. The man is he glows. He's glowing. He's got lightning coming out. He's got a storm seer staff. He's awesome. Yeah, just put him in. This one is definitely a bit more on the pricey end of things. So if you're a White Scar player, you get through it. You need bikes. You just do. If you get the start collecting box, like the initial one for all the legions, the next step up is obviously bikes. So I have here, you have the Ebon Kashyyyk for Terminators, but then for the Golden Kashyyyk, the reason why I put this as in red is because I think the whole squad needs to be redone. It does. I'm sorry. It just does. The Golden Kashyyyk is without a doubt the worst specialist unit sculpt Forge World has. There is no individuality with it. There is no. It looks like a regular stock Mark III Marine on a slightly different jet bike. That's it. And the jet bike has no ornamentation. If you could paint that jet bike an entirely different scheme, and you would not know. You wouldn't know that it was the White Scars. You would just, it's not like it's like you're looking at like the Death Shroud Terminators for the Death Guard, which you might actually see in the next one, right? And you look at that and you're like, oh, well, that's obviously Death Guard. Or if you look at, great example would be like the Emperor's Children, right? If you looked at like, the Palatine Blades, you're like, oh, that can only be the Emperor's Children. You look at the Golden Kashyyyk, the specialists of the White Scars, and you look at them, and you're like, they could be anybody. So Forge World, I would say for this set, redo the Golden Kashyyyk, make them a squad of 3 or 6, and redo the models, make them really stand out. I mean, for God's sakes, they have like stock heads. They're heads. You can make a special helmet for these. I mean, God knows you already have even if you've used the ones you already made. It's just frustrating. Just stupidly frustrating. Okay, so next up is the Death Guard. Now, the Death Guard is way more of a flushed out range. So I only added one more, which is Kaifa Morag. That's the Death Guard character. So he is the equerry to Mortarion, I believe. And then obviously you have Typhon. And I know Typhon isn't in the book Scars, but he is such a prominent character for the Death Guard. It's like you can't not put him in. So I think that's important. So put him in. You have Death Shroud Terminators, Grave Wardens, Terminator Squad, solid. And then Contemptor Dreadnought, both kitted out with Curious Assault Cannons. It's really not more to say. They're both really cool Terminator units, and you get good value for what you have. So for the Chondak campaign box, the White Scars total $520 for that set. Death Guard $394. The total value of the box is $913, and you get it for $300. So another saving of $600. So not really anything more to say there. I just think that's a really, really, really solid, fun way to go. It's a fun box. I would get that box in a heartbeat. I mean, you could do so much with the Death Guard Terminators. If even, you could, it would take a lot of conversion, but you could make them stock standard Terminators. And I know that kind of contradicts what I just said, where it's like, oh, if you look at the Death Guard Terminator, oh, it's definitely Death Guard. But you swap out the helmets, you swap out the arms, on like the Death Warden, and the Death Shroud. You switch those out, you can get away with it. For the Death Guard, coming in a total of $393. You get a total value in the box of $913. Price of the box is $300, and then your savings is $613. So yeah, I mean, there's not really a lot more to say there. I think the box is a pretty good value for what it is. I think it does what it needs to do for both factions. The Death Shroud and the Grave Warden Terminators. It gives you an introductory, it lets you get you both of them, so you can build upon it if you want more of either. You're more than able to. You have a Terminator bodyguard right there. And then for the white scars, it gives you the bikes you want. Hopefully Forge World takes my advice and redoes them, but if they don't, you still have, 6 Kashyyyk at a cheaper rate. So it's a win-win. Depending on the size of the wins, depending on how much effort Forge World decides to put into the box. All right, Cygnus campaign box. So this is where I kind of flip things around, okay? I actually put in the Demons of the Ruinstorm because I feel like as a range they definitely need help, and it's not one where I really need to know a ton about to make recommendations. So that's why I went with this. So with the Cygnus, right, you have the Blood Angels. So for the Blood Angels, characters-wise, you got Raldoron, and then you also have Ascalon. Ascalon is a big one. I don't know why he doesn't have a model yet, but he just doesn't. And the second thing is that the Sanguinary Guard. I know that's the one new unit I want to do, and I know that there is a 40k model, which you see in the bottom left-hand corner there. But I really think they needed their own 30k variant. And because it's one of those units where it's like, oh well, I would really like to see it, but again, chances are this isn't going to happen because the Sanguinary Guard already exists, and you can kind of get away with using them in 30k already because they have Artificer armor, which is already very stylish and all those kind of things. So yeah, whatever. This is just, like I said, this is me wish fulfilling. So then it would be a squad of Crimson Paladins and then 2 squad of Assault Marines. Assault Marines are just I think it's key to Blood Angels. It's one of those things where it's like it doesn't matter what else you have, I would think you would want to have some assault squads. And then the Crimson Paladins are just they're cool. Even if you just use them as stock Legion Terminators, they're cool. They're just a fun unit to have. All right, then for the Demons of the Ruinstorm, there's only one new character because he's huge. He's literally a demon. Is Kabunda. I really think Kabunda is the thing that you want. You have here for the unit standpoint, you have the Runestorm Demon Brutes. They're really cool models, but the thing with the Demons of the Ruinstorm is, as a range, is you really you don't know what god they're from. They're kind of like Chaos Undivided demons. Even though I've read Fear to Tread, it's not. There's never a god that says, oh, this is where they come from. And so I think Forge World needs to really decide, what they look like. If there's truly, Chaos Undivided demons, right, go off of the demon brutes, okay, then really flesh that out. Make demons that actually look like the rest of the force. Because otherwise, the best you can do is, even what I put here, right, I put 2 Bloodletter squads. Because they are the ones that look the most similar to the demon brutes. Because that's actual Forge World stuff. But it feels off. The range feels like it's kind of haphazardly thrown together. And then for the demon beasts, you can use, those are actually, I think, Bloodhounds of Khorne. So you can use that, and I don't think anyone's going to raise an objection because you make do with what you got with demons. But it's odd. I would really like it to have, really hey, these are actual demon squads for Demons of the Ruinstorm. But Kabunda is definitely a plus, and I think the range itself could be a lot of fun. So what are you saving? So for the Blood Angels total, you're using $447, so it's a little bit under par from the rest. But this is the first box that value-wise it breaks $1,000 because the Demons of the Ruinstorm total is $626. Now, you're probably like, how did you get that high? Well, the brutes are actually surprisingly expensive. I believe it's $220, if I'm not mistaken, when they're combined, said and done. So the real kicker is actually Kabunda, because I based that off of the Bloodthirster of Khorne model from Forge World, which is $260. So that really just kind of took that really brought the price up. So even just the Kabunda model and the 2 demon brutes, right? That's that's easily over $400 right there. So that's kind of where the value of the box comes from. So yeah, so your total savings is $773. So I don't think you can really go wrong value-wise from that. Next up is the Ultramar campaign box. This has the Word Bearers, Ultramarines, and the World Eaters. So in this case, there's actually 3 legions because I wanted to keep it. This is like the Shadow Crusade box. So with here you have Zardu Layak and the Blade Slaves. I mean they're just they're cool models. As you can see, I very much push like the Tainted, Gal Vorback models. And then Argil Tal. Why doesn't Argil Tal have a model yet? He's got rules. I think he has rules anyway. I'm pretty sure he has rules. He might not have rules. That might be a lie. Feel free to fact check me on that. But I'm pretty sure he has rules, but he doesn't have a model. But Argil Tal is without a doubt probably one of the coolest word bearers out there. I actually do like the word bearers as a force. I mean, don't get me wrong. Erebus sucks. No one likes Erebus. But I think I find them to be very compelling as characters. A lot of them do, especially Logar. I think Logar gets a lot of flack because he was the guy who kind of started the whole plunging the Imperium into darkness thing. But but I am interested as them as characters, and I wouldn't want to be a word bearer, but I am interested in the story of the word bearers. So and then you get one squad of Gal Vorback, and then one Mahara, is that how you say that? Gal Tainted Dreadnought. Again, all these models really are cool. The Gal Vorback are good. They're the equivalent of the Terminator. So the Tainted Dreadnought is one of those models that just you don't see a lot of it, and I think the real reason is because it's awful, rules wise. So, but it's a shame because it's a really really cool model. So I think if the Forge would change the rules and made it better for what it did, it really would be just a phenomenal model to have at a Word Bearer's Force. I think it really separates you from any other trader force. So yeah, so that's the Word Bearers. Next up is the World Eaters. So first you have Karn the Bloody, which you just have to have Karn. You cannot make a World Eaters starter box without Karn. Then you have the one new character is Dredger. He's one of those. I believe he was a destroyer captain. I'm not fully up on his lore. I know he was at the Siege of Terra though, so he's a very prominent World Eater. Worships Karn. Thinks Karn is like the best thing since sliced bread until Karn does the whole betraying thing. So now you have so then from a unit standpoint you get the Red Butchers, which are just a good unit. They're really just fun. Every Word Bearers needs Red Butchers, and then a Rampager squad. Even if you don't use the Rampager squads as Rampagers, you could scatter them in as sergeants, which is just a really cool thing to really make your army that much cooler. So yeah, that's the World Eaters. And of course, everybody's favorite Smurf boys, the Ultramarines. So this one actually has the most out of the new legions that would get stuff. It's not because Ultramarines are poster boys, we need them to do this. It's actually because because the Word Bearers and World Eaters are actually relatively complete as a range, I think. They only need a couple characters, but for the Ultramarines, they're actually pretty sparse if you look at them. I mean, they've got no character series models at all. So the first one obviously is Remus Ventanus. There's no reason why Remus Ventanus shouldn't have a model. I believe he has a special edition model that Forge World had. It was like an event only thing, which I think is just kind of cheesy. So Remus Ventanus is they should make one for him that is you put on the web store. Just go and do it. So the other character that the Ultramarines would get is Taro Nicodemus. He is one of the Tetrarchs of Ultramar. So yeah, he's a high ranking boy. And I saw I think it was the Siege Studios art on the top right there of him, and I was like, oh, that looks perfect. That's within the Electrix Pollux conversion. But he looks stellar. And that's what I would think you would want for a model standpoint. And then for units you get one of the Invictus Suzerain, and then you'd also get the Fulmentaris Terminators, which are they're effectively copy pasta of Tyrant Siege Terminators from the Iron Warriors. But yeah, it's I think those models are definitely in the Ultramarines. I don't think have a special Terminator squad, so that would be a cool addition. And then one veteran tactical sports squads. Again, I kitted them out with combi weapons just to make pricing easy. But yeah, that would be that's the Ultramarines. So how much does the set cost? So the Ultramarine total is 447. The Word Bearers and World Eaters total is 432 and 274 respectively. So you come in for a grand total of $1,126. You get it for $300. That's a total savings of $826, which is just, hey, it's pretty good. All right, Pluto campaign. Oh gosh, I hate. It just takes me back to what's the book? Praetorian of Dorne. I hate that book. I hate it with a passion. But the Imperial Fist, on the other hand, they're a pretty cool legion. So what does what characters you get? So Sigismund is a must in it, and then you get your boy that you actually have in the story, which is Archimanus. Wow, I cannot say that guy's name. But he is one of the original 200 Imperial Fists that are made after meeting Dorne for the first time. So what units you get? You're going to get 2 Breacher squads, 1 Cataphractic Terminator squad with Storm Shields, because it's Imperial Fist, so why not give it Storm Shields? Then you get 1 Derrideo Dreadnought with autocannons and a missile launcher. So in this supplement, what you're doubling down on is that they're sturdy as hell, because they've either got boarding shields or breaching shields, and you're able to shoot really well because you've got bolters up the wazoo, right? And so that's the Imperial Fist box set. It's pretty self-explanatory. I think it's actually from a purely adding value and usable units. I think this one really does take the cake. I mean, you really do get a lot of what you want. Now the Alpha Legion. So you have Armilis Dynat, right? That's their special character. And then Ingo Peach, whatever. You can read it. He's the first captain of the Alpha Legion. And he was also at the Battle of Pluto, so that's also very important. Then for units, you get 1 10-man Headhunter kill team, 1 squad of Linear Terminators, and then 2 Javelin attack speeders. I think out of all the army lists, this is kind of a general... this is what people usually put in their army list by and large. So I was like, yeah, all right, that seems like a good benchmark. So what's the values? So for the Pluto campaign, you've got the $469 for the Imperial Fist. Alpha Legion is $553. Your total value is $1,022. You get it for $300. Guess what? You're saving $722. Yay! Yeah, no, it's a good box. Like I said, there's not really a lot more to say than what I've already said. It's just a solid box. All right, Thramis Crusade. All right, so for the Thramis campaign box, Night Lords, Zoe Sahal. I feel like the Night Lords really need a jump troop character. I don't know why they don't have a jump troop character, but they definitely need one. Then you get probably the nicest model in the character series, which is Sevatar, because he is just an amazing character. If you've ever seen that sculpt, it's brilliant. Units, so there's 1 Atramentar Terminator set, and then 1 Contakar Terminator squad. So the Atramentar are meant to be in Cataphracti armor. I apologize, I could not find a suitable picture of Night Lords in their Cataphracti plate that I actually liked. So it is I'm aware that it is in Indomitus armor, which is not great. I prefer it to be in Cataphracti, but you know what? We may do what we got. Yeah, and then you get a squad of the new Contakar Terminator squad, which is cool. I mean, I actually really like the sculpts. I think they're pretty nice. They're very Night Lordsy, right? And then you get 2 Night Raptor squads, which every Night Lord's army needs Night Raptors. So yeah, pretty good value for your money, I think. All right, then you get the Dark Angels, okay? So the Dark Angels similarly don't have any named characters. They're kind of like the Ultramarines that way. Since they don't have any of those, I decided to go with Corswain, who is really like third in command of the Legion, but he's just overall badass, like really cool. And then there's Alajos, who is Corswain's teacher, and the two of them together are like the best swordsmen in the Legion. So needless to say, having knights in a Dark Angels army is exactly what you want. And so that carries over into the troops. Boom! Segue. So then you have the Knights Cenobium Terminator squad. You got one of those. Then you've got an Interruptor squad, which is just their plasma boys you see down there on the left. And then a Sicaran Punisher tank. This is one of those things where I was looking to add value in as many ways as I could. And this was one unit that I saw in a lot of lists, so I thought, yeah, it must be good. So it adds a little bit of spice to the list while also giving you some value for your moolah. Okay, so so let's talk savings. So you've got for the Night Lord's half, it's 460. For the Dark Angels half, it's 441. That gives you a total value of $901. Box, as always, is 300, which means that you are saving 600 smackaroons. It's pretty good. Can't go wrong with 600 smackaroons. Okay. So here's our last box. It's the Angel Exterminatus campaign box, and it's going to be the Iron Warriors versus the Raven Guard and the Salamanders. So the Iron Warriors, they're like Ultramarines and the Dark Angels before them. They have no name characters at all. So I decided to give them Kroger and Barabin Falk. Both are warsmiths that are part of the Triarch. So they're part of. So it's two out of the three of Perturabo's Trident. And so you have two really cool name characters. I think it's going to be a good time with that. So for the units, you have one Havoc Squad, which is new because the Iron Warriors don't have that, although they definitely should. One Tyrant Siege Terminator Squad. One is all you need. Maybe you want to make it a 10-man, but I wouldn't push it. They're really strong. And then you get one Rapier Quad Mortar, which is just, it's what you want. It's I was like, well, if you're going to put the Iron Warriors are going to make a box for them, you want some artillery of some kind, and I think that the Rapier Quad Mortar it's economically efficient while also being just a really fun thing to have, so decided to make that. So you have the Angel Exterminatus Raven Guard, which is, you have Nikona Shuriken. He is the Raven Guard character, and then he's kind of like the Raven Guard character you follow through a lot of the Shattered Legion stuff, so you're going to get him. Then you get two Dark Furies, and then two of the more Deatham. I decided to give him a combi set add-on. You don't have to do that, but you can. I just think it's all Raven Guard models. That's what you want. You want Stealthy Boys and Flying Boys. So that's what you got. And then with the Salamanders, you have Atesh Tarsa, which is actually an apothecary, which is an interesting character. We haven't seen an apothecary yet. And so in that you get two squads of Pyroclast, one Fire Drake Terminator, and then a Predator Infernus. Now, I know that the Shattered Legions are a little undermanned in terms of like what they have access to. So yes, I completely acknowledge that this is wrong from a canon standpoint. There are no Fire Drake Terminators in the Shattered Legions that I know of from what I've read. So certainly not an Angel Exterminatus, and there is no Predator Infernus either. But I wanted to add that in as a meaningful buy, because if you want to get, if you really want to make a supplement force, Terminators and armor is kind of the way I would think you'd want to go. So, and the Salamanders don't have much else in the way of like really individualized units besides the Pyroclast, which I hear are just kind of eh. So I decided to go that way. So that is just my decision. Again, you're welcome to disagree, but that's just what I decided to go for. So what are your totals and savings and things? So for the Iron Warriors, total is $368. The Raven Guard and the Salamanders total is $387 and $371 respectively. Total is $1,126. The price of the box is $300. Your savings are $826. Yeah, that's pretty solid. I don't think anyone's going to complain about that. Pog. Awesome. Okay, so now that we've gone through all of our products, so all 9 boxes, we should see how it stacks up with our objectives. So that we set out in part 1. So number 1, does the product give new customers a usable force in the heresy that they can build upon? Yes. You're just doing it backwards, effectively. If you want to start with the elites of an army, sure, you could do that. It actually lets you do 2 armies if you buy it for yourself, or if you split it with yourself and a friend. Then yeah, you two could both get a start in an army. You would just start it with elites as opposed to troops. You could do it. 2, it should give veteran players a cost-effective way to start a new army. Yeah, I mean, it gives you some stuff, but I don't think it gives you a very cost-effective way to get it. You certainly get it at a discount for sure. But again, you're not getting like the bedrock of an army. You're getting like the sauce of the army. And even then, you're not getting a ton of sauce. You're not like if you're getting like the Alpha Legion box, right? You're getting the two javelin speeders, and then the linear tournaments, and then the headhunter team, right? And then the two characters. So that has some stuff, but like most people want like 10-man squads of Terminators and not just a 5-man squad. So you would have to go out and buy another squad. So it's cost effective in that it gives you enough elites, but it's not cost effective in that it may not give you everything you want in one place. So I would say that's a yes and no. 3, it should give the company a platform to deliver new models. Absolutely. That's the whole reason why it exists. You get new characters in every box or new troops in every box, and you can just keep going like that. But that's a tried and tested method for GW. I'm not exactly blazing new trails there. Number 4, it should allow the company to sell products that aren't otherwise being sold. Yes, it does. It lets you rotate stock that isn't otherwise being moved. Well, thanks so much to you all for listening, for my extended, freaking 50-minute rant on what products I would like to see. Thank you so much again just for listening and for paying attention, and I do appreciate it. So, yeah, I guess I'll see you all on the next one. I've been IT Christensen. Take care.